The Pistons are the basketball champions of the world.
Detroit, it's time. It's playoff time, Detroit. Let's go to work.
Shout out Detroit. I got to buff up, you know what I'm saying? Detroit, I'm all the way in. Detroit Pistons, I'm all the way in. Let's do it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Buffs On Podcast. We are the best POD in the 313. We got the squad back together. Similar to how the Pistons do on the court, we got it right here on the Zoom court. We're back together. I'm back, and a huge shout out to the crew here for holding down. Thank you, Mike, again, for filling in while I was out, too. I'm considering taking another hiatus, boys, because I don't come on the pod and the Pistons decide to start winning some ball games here. Shout out Gabe for calling out the Pistons almost going 4-0 this week with wins over the Nets, Mavs, Raptors, and Hornets, but we couldn't pull the one out above the Mav, but that's fine. We also acquired an X Factor. I think his name is Todd Gibson, showing the big man how to do their thing down low. Valley, start us off. What have you seen from the Pistons over the last 4 or 5 games that have really caught your eye?
Well, I mean, first of all, I think I have a solution. You were at 2 of those wins, weren't you?
Oh, I was.
What if the Buffs on Pod just gets like a some sort of live action reporter at the scene, and then that could just kind of be your job.
Hey, I'll take it. As long as we're winning, I'll do whatever. I'll hand out popcorn for all I care.
We apologize for the technical difficulty.
Connie, why don't you fill in for us? What have you seen over the last 4 or 5 games that have caught your eye?
I mean, yeah, so I think those dubs coincide very nicely with the signing of Taj Gibson. And Taj Gibson is honestly the type of guy that we've been asking for as like a vet that actually gives a shit about these guys. I always felt that Bojan was a little detached in the team. Alec Burks is fine, but he's kind of chuckling. Taj Gibson has seemed to really integrate himself into this team very quickly, which I expected because he's a dog pound type of guy. And the biggest effect I feel is on the big men of this squad, particularly James Wiseman, who has all of a sudden become a pretty effective player. And I saw some people say it was like a Killian Hayes sort of thing, where Killian Hayes would have a streak of some pretty good games, but then just go back to being doo-doo again. I think this is different for James Wiseman because he's not playing the same way that he was playing before. He's playing a whole different sort of game. He's keeping the ball much higher when he rolls down. He's just kind of going over guys, realizing that he's long as hell, and he's setting screens. He's setting screens so nicely. He's not just slipping them. He's actually like getting his legs pretty wide apart, and he's using his big body to actually hit the other guys and getting good rolls down and finishing very nicely. Not to mention that absolutely just ludicrous dribble, like little footwork move that he had against the Hornets, where he drop steps basically away from the hoop, plants, then jumps forwards and dunks over who's the guy in the Hornets? Their athletic backup center.
Nick Richards.
Nick Richards, yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Sends it over Nick Richards. And that he's done a couple of things recently where it's like, oh, okay, Wiseman. It's like the skill is being able to show through because he's always been a skilled guy, but the skill is being able to show through more because he's doing the little things that actually let him stay on the court. Whereas like recently when Jalen Duren gets off the court, I'm not terribly upset to see James Wiseman out there.
Yeah, and I gotta say, in person, seeing those dunks in person was crazy. The arena was electric. When he got pulled off of the floor, even Mason knew it. Like he got like a couple huge rounds of applause. It would be now coming off the floor, Evan Fournier, Simone Fontecchio, and then there's a pause, and James Wiseman, and everybody would go crazy. Yeah, of course the dunks are great. You know, him hitting his shots is also great. But like you said, Connie, those screens have been demoralizing. Like even in person, you can see like he's knocking people down with those screens. So it's nice to see, and Cade and Ivey even said it themselves. I know Cade did. Ivey might not have. He would have if he was given the chance. But the screens that they're getting are freeing them up so much for whatever they want to do. So that's also been great to see. Gabe, your thoughts
Can I
Yeah,
throw
go
one
ahead.
more James Wiseman stat out just to support what I'm doing?
I love James Wiseman.
Pre-All-Star break, he's 6 points, 4 boards, half an assist. It's whatever. He has an offensive rating of 119 and a defensive rating of 123, which means he's a negative player, effectively negative. Since All-Star break, he's 7 points, 6 boards, over an assist a game, and he has an offensive rating of 129 and a defensive rating of 112 in 12 games. That's plus 17 average in 12 games per 100 possessions. That's like
That's crazy.
good. He's playing against bench units, and it's post All Star break. People take their foot off the gas a little bit, but it's been a significant change in how James Wiseman impacts the game.
Yeah, it's been nice to see. Gabe, your thoughts on Duren, Wiseman, Gibson, whatever you want to throw out there.
Yeah, he's had a few like three block games, which has been nice to see. His defensive rebounding, he still gets like Nick Richards has some cheap rebounds over him, but he's improving. And I think, like Connie said, it does come with Taj Gibson. It also comes with playing against the Hornets, and these other teams that we beat. So I'm not quite back on the train yet, but I do think he's earned his backup minutes, even if that means we continue to play two bigs, which, as we saw against Miami, was a problem at times. Don't got much more on it. I don't want this to be a Marvin Bagley situation where he gets overpaid because Weaver's kind of bidding against himself. If a team offers him 3 for 26, let him go. Please don't try beat that number. So, yeah, we'll see where it goes from here. We have a pretty good schedule coming up, as in we play good teams. If he keeps up his performance these next 2 weeks, then I think I'm a little bit more of a believer again.
Yeah, and building off of your blocks note, like, yeah, even in person, when you watch him like on his closeouts, he's and bringing in what Connie said earlier, he's realizing how long he is. He's not like jumping too much at the ball. He's just staying there, staying big, and just putting his big paw up in front of the defender's face and making them feel uncomfortable. And it's working so far. Valley, any other thoughts on Wiseman or Duren before we move into one of our next topics?
Well, I missed about all of it as my Zoom broke down on me. So I don't know. I just wanted to touch on Duren's numbers since the break. I don't know if you guys did. Over
Not yet.
14 a game, over 12 rebounds, 3 assists a game. Gabe, I thought you noted on something really important, and that's been his rim protection. That's something I've been heavily criticizing Jalen Duren in the past on his rim protection and lack of effort, but it's really been there recently. And again, it might be, us playing against bad teams in March, in the state of today's NBA, that's oftentimes like a pickup basketball type attitude at times. So you do have to take it with a grain of salt, but I think you're really seeing some positive things from Jalen Duren and James Wiseman. It was different when Killian Hayes put on some nice performances in the garbage times of seasons. Like deep down, you still had a little bit of a feeling, like, is this really real? But with Wiseman, he's using his size. He's throwing down everything he can at the rim. Reminds me of Christian Wood in a way when he broke out with the Pistons, where he just tries to dunk everything at the rim. Really love it. Has been setting less illegal screens. You guys talked about how good the screens have been. When he was getting minutes sporadically earlier in the season, or even a bit consistently, you could bet your house down on a Wiseman illegal screen. And right now you can't bet your house down. You can only bet like your car down because he's still do it, but it's happening less and less. But very happy what I've seen from the bigs. I don't know if we'll get to Isaiah Stewart, so I just want to shout out Stu. He just keeps doing him. Gets the hate, but keeps doing him. How about that 3 block, 3 for 3 from deep game? Shows his versatility. Just shout out to Stu.
Yeah, he's quietly been pretty effective. And I know on those illegal screens, like, it's not always about the big, right? It's about the guard that they got going with them. And Wiseman doesn't really play with Cade. And Cade got Duren how many illegal screen calls? Because he's just going too fast. And Ivy's the same way. So I feel like Sasser needs to do a better job of slowing down so that Wiseman can get set. But besides that, and like, guys are going down on these screens. Like, it's just crazy how solid these screens have been set. Another guy I think we should touch on. I mean, we give him love all the time on this show, and he pretty much gets love pretty much everywhere he goes. But Cade Cunningham, since the All-Star break, Gabe, Valley, you have the numbers for us, don't you? Tell us
Oh,
how Cade Cunningham has been since the All-Star break.
he's averaging 23.7 points per game, 7.8 assists, and 5 rebounds in all 12 games since the All-Star break. Let me walk you through the number of threes he's hit in those games. Last night aside, 2, 2, 3, 4, 4, 1, 2, 3, 5, 4, 4.
And
He
what
has been
percentage is he shooting?
oh boy, I don't have the total number. That's why I'm saying it. Let me see if I can get you the total number, but I know it's a really high percentage.
Since the All-Star break,
Yeah,
he's 41.5% from three.
Say it
there you
one more
go.
time, Connie.
41.5% from three.
And
Who
what
we
did you
talking about? Are we
Cade,
talking about Steph?
yeah, Cade, Steph, Cunningham.
Cade
Oh,
Steph
okay.
Cunningham? Yeah, exactly. And our biggest criticism of Cade Cunningham at the beginning of the year when we made our Buffs on breakdown, if you haven't seen that, check that out. It's on our YouTube channel. But we said that Cade's gonna need to hit the three if he wants to take that next step. And it took a while to get here, but since the All-Star break, I think Cade Cunningham has found something. Gabe, your thoughts on Cade hitting the mark from deep?
Does that also happen to align with Fontecchio starting for the most part? Give him some space in that lineup. It's not all of it there, but I mean, I think it's most evident. Like he had an off game last night against Miami, but it's also like they're one of the few good teams we played, and good teams don't really care about our other players taking threes. So when there's more spacing, Cade plays better. Has proven that holds true for every NBA player.
I
But
also
yeah, like, and the most important thing I think is the catch and shoot. Like every time he's in the corner, it's money. He's like around the elbow there, it's money. The one he struggles when he's kind of like when he doesn't get his rhythm in, when he kind of has to take an off balance three, it's almost always short. So I think, but it's on target. So I think he does have the makings there next season. I think he's going to be a legit 3-point shooter.
and bringing in your note of us playing good teams, like, yeah, he did struggle against Miami last night. People are going to say, oh, he shot well against Charlotte and Toronto. He really wasn't on during, like, either of those games. He even sat out in the last quarter against Toronto and told Monty to let Sasser do his thing. But, again, good teams. He was crazy against Dallas, and he hit some tough shots in that game, too. So I don't think it's a fluke. Connie, your thoughts on Cade?
I mean, he seems to like really be finding a groove. There was that who was it against? It was against the Raptors, where they started off really nicely, and the Raptors and then the Pistons just stopped getting field goals, and they were like 0 for 14 in the second quarter. And then when that game was like starting to be like, oh, this is gonna slip away, this is gonna get real bad. It was just like Cade Cunningham getting to his mid-range shot, getting to the rim. Like when he really chooses to, he can just get a good shot and make a good shot. Uh,
Yeah.
there's so much more like it seems like so much more lift on his jumper. Is even in the mid range. There was some times where he was shooting like sort of a pancake shot, and that's when his like maybe sort of fell off. Even earlier this year, there were some times where we were complaining about the mid range jump shot. Like his game is built around it, he just wasn't hitting it, and now he's just hitting it so well. Like everything that comes off his hand in the mid range, I expect just go straight down. And yeah, like you said, Gabe, the addition of Fontecchio into the starting lineup is huge for Cade because it just gives him so much more room to operate, and him with room to operate, him with just like one defender on him, it's good night. He's gonna get where he wants to go. Sometimes he's gonna miss the layup, but like I guarantee you try to one-on-one guard Cade, and if especially if it's a point guard, like he's at the rim, he's exactly where he wants to go, and he's gonna make or miss that shot. That's why Fontecchio is so important.
Big
Uh,
time. Have you guys noticed any changes in Cade's mechanics? Like, I don't know. I was watching him shoot a three. I think it was maybe in the what day did we wear blue? Was it the? I think it was the Hornets game, and I don't know. I felt like his shot was a little farther away from his face. It just doesn't seem like he's bringing it all the way up here anymore. He's just bringing it up like up
yeah,
here more.
I've
Uh,
noticed it. It looks easier.
Yeah.
There's a way like earlier, like in the season when he was getting those threes up, it seems like he was really getting his legs underneath him, like he really had to push and jump, and like getting the ball to the hoop on those threes seemed harder, and taking more effort into a movement um, makes it more inaccurate. There's a little motor control for you. The more you have to activate your muscles, the less accuracy you can make with the movement. So that big uh, large throw that he's got to do and now it looks much simpler. It looks like he's putting much less power into the 3-pointer, and it's more just smooth. Like his power transfers better. It just seems like it's coming off real easy right now, and that's how you want it.
To me, it just seems like there's less movement from point A to point B, and it's just a lot more smooth. It's pure. Um, on the other end of the spectrum, though. Oh yeah, do you have something to
One
add?
more thing, real quick. On his threes, I think a really important shot that a lot of all-star wings and like lead guards have is to take the three when they go under the screen. And they've been doing that a lot, and he's kind of still tried to snake his way in. Now he has that little like it's almost Luka-like, where he kind of steps left a little bit and shoots, and it looks like you said a lot more fluid. There's a lot more arc on that shot. So if he starts hitting those, he becomes unguardable, and that's when we start to win games.
Yeah, the one he hit against the Mavs was kind of like a turning point for me. Like there was a bunch of screening action on the left wing, and he just like him and Duren were just doing a 2-man game, and they weren't like full drop, but they weren't hard hedging. It was like a soft hedge, and Cade just like popped to his left and fired a three over like three guys. It was Duren and two defenders, and he buried it. And I'm like, it's different. It's different now. Um, Valley, do you have any thoughts on Cade before we move into somebody who has not been playing up to par lately?
Yeah, I do. I mean, you guys touched on all the scoring aspects, which is great. It's been there. But what's been there the whole year, even though turnovers have been up, turnovers are still pretty high. What's been there is the playmaking, still up around 8 assists a game since the All-Star break, hovering around that figure almost all season, 7 or 8 a game. Has a really great connection and understanding with his teammates right now, and I think that's especially evident with Jalen Duren. Those guys are hitting on lob after lob, and they're getting pretty cool. Like the pass that Cade started to throw, like he had a few sidearm passes, I feel like, and he's loving the scoop alley-oop pass. So they're getting awesome. I feel like there's a connection and understanding with Jaden Ivey there. Same goes with Isaiah Stewart, honestly. Like I think he's really just starting to figure out who his teammates are. I think the game is starting to just open up and slow down a little bit for Cade Cunningham, which is something we see so much. And something we'll talk about getting into our next guy. But before we do, I want to talk about Simone real quick because we touched on him, but Simone has been everything we have hoped for. I mean, he's shooting 41% since joining the team on a really high volume. I said last pod, he just doesn't hesitate. He's a Klay Thompson kind of has a like non-hesitation, which right now is a good thing. He's not shooting like Klay. He's just shooting that thing if he touches it. I have a fun like stat that's popped up in the game yesterday. Um, Simone Fontecchio averaged 7.6 points per game on the Utah Jazz. Simone Fontecchio averages 15.6 per game on the Detroit Pistons, and doing it very efficiently, contributes on the defensive end. Like I just looking back at that trade, I don't know how we gave them Knox, who they instantly waived. I don't know how we got a second rounder for Simone Fontecchio because he's just such a valuable player to the team, and I wanted to touch on him as well.
Yeah, and I love this action that's like become like a pet action of ours. It's just like Simone goes to set the screen, but he slips it and he pops out to the 3-point line. And because everybody's so worried about Cade, it's like, oh, it's just another Pistons player popping out to the wing. No, it is not another Pistons player. It is Simone Fontecchio.
Surprise.
Yeah, who's gonna hit the shot. And Cade just whips it to Simone, and it's an easy wing triple. It's just so
And
nice to see like things working.
yeah, it's awesome, isn't it? And one thing is he's not one dimensional on the offensive end. Like he's
No.
long and he's quite frankly, he's very athletic and he's sneaky athletic. He gets to the rim a good amount and finishes a good amount at the rim, which I think just adds another dimension to our offense and to his game as well.
Yeah, and Duren even mentioned that too. Like you don't expect him to drive to the rim, but he does. Go ahead.
Yeah, he doesn't get really over the rim when he drives to the hoop, but I feel like he drives to the hoop like he thinks he's going to get over the rim. Like he'll just jump up,
I
balls
think he's gonna
straight out like he's gonna dunk on the guy. He doesn't get close,
But like
Yeah.
he just like
I
relentlessly like attacks the hoop with like a real nice ferocity on those drives when there's a defender in the way.
He
That's so
tried.
funny because I swear he gets like I swear he's going head above the rim and he's just gonna old school Blake Griffin throw it down on somebody. He tried it one time on a bad rim protector and got stuffed.
Yeah.
So maybe it is all an illusion.
But I
Oh
really
man.
like it. Like he is a like he's fearless when he attacks the hoop. He really
So,
goes at it. He's like I don't give a fuck. Like even like there was a couple times he gets like blocked 2 times in a row and he's like next time down he's slamming into it again. He's gonna get something.
He does not
saying
care.
sorry to keep jumping in, but saying fearless while he has a black eye really is doing it as well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like
You
really just
got
adds
me
on
good.
to it.
Man. And I'm legally blind, so I can't see from up there. But my brother hasn't watched a few games in a long time, and we showed up to the Hornets game. He's go, "Yo, Fontecchio's got a shiner," and I'm like, "Yeah." And we were like in the mezzanine seat, so it wasn't like a little thing. You could see it from all the way up there, but it's crazy. I love how he just throws his body into the defender. He does not care. And I love that he's hitting the shots. He had an off game after he had that great game against Dallas. It was, I believe, but. Uh, it's just nice to have somebody on the court that at least can provide some spacing for Cade. And we're well wishes to Asar Thompson, who is dealing with a medical illness or asthma, as they have it listed on the injury report. Gabe, do you have any thoughts on Simone before we move into our next topic?
I got nothing else. You guys covered it all.
All right, sweet. But to know like kind of like combining like the James Wiseman like becoming more assertive and just dunking everything. I feel like Asar Thompson was getting to that level before he went down after that first quarter of the Luka matchup in with Dallas. Like I feel like Asar is getting comfortable. Like he knows he's more athletic and he's picking his spots on when he can beat somebody and dunk the ball. It's just nice to see that he's feeling more comfortable. At the end of his first year. It's nice to see Wiseman's feeling more comfortable. A guy who has not been so comfortable, Jaden Ivey. He has not found his groove. He has not. He had what game did we win? Was it the Hornets game or not the Hornets game? The Nets game when he caught fire.
Yeah, Nets was the game that him and Cade both had 30.
Yep, that was a 30-30 game. Yep. And after that, he's kind of just, he's kind of hit his lull again. But I don't know. Is it a conditioning thing? Is it is he just in his head too much? You guys noticing anything out there that you think is holding Jaden Ivey back? We'll start with Valley because we kind of excluded him on the Cade talk for a while.
No, totally okay. I just we talk all the time about the game slowing down for people, especially for Jaden Ivey. But the game's just not slowing down for him. And if anything, it kind of feels like the game is speeding up for him. Just always trying to go downhill, and he's so careless with the basketball at times. I mean, we've seen so many high turnover games with him. Any fast break where we have a numeric advantage is a no look pass for him that is probably going to get deflected. Um, he's careless. He's jumping in the air and passing consistently, like which is a no-no. And my eighth grade basketball coach, Mr. Hollis, taught me that.
Yeah, Mr. Hollis knows so
But
much.
showing a lot of jump passes, which are resulting in him having to do these bailout passes, and even at the rim, I feel like he's missing some easy ones, just going too fast, and I like that he shoots the three because he's caught fire at times is what is the part that confuses me, but then his jumper just looks so broken, he turns into a chucker, and I really think people go under that screen on purpose all the time with him and he works on his craft so hard. He's gonna take that shot every time. But time and time again, he's just clanking that thing off the back iron or whatever. Um, I don't know. I mean, we talked a little bit about Ivy last time, and like I couldn't really identify what's changed in him struggling the way we play basketball. The only thing I can say is just there's no reason he shouldn't be getting to the rim on every single occasion. Wide open catch and shoot three, yeah, sure. But there's no way he shouldn't be forcing the issue, drawing contact, drawing fouls, or getting all the way to the rim for a shot, which either goes in or is oftentimes going to be swooped up by Duren.
Yeah. Gabe, Connie, you guys got anything to add on Jaden Ivey?
Yeah, I don't think he's definitely not getting to the rim as much. He was for a good while there shooting like 70% around the rim. It seemed like he really made a turn. It just seems like the layup is sort of out of his shot profile right now, and that could just be the way they're guarding him. Like you said, really just going for that downhill, not really mixing in the moves. But I've still liked his passing. He still looks to get other guys involved. I think he's still a good small area passer, like tight spaces passer, like getting those handoffs, dump offs, little lobs to guys. I don't know. I think he's just such a rhythm player, confidence player, and right now, like a lot of the time, you see him miss a shot, he walks back with his head down. I think he's just a little rattled with himself, and he's a rhythm guy. So I wouldn't be surprised if like he pulls off another 2 week stretch like he did earlier this season where he looks amazing, and it's gonna come and go. Development's not always linear too. Things.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good thing to note. Gabe, any notes on Ivy?
Yeah, I've noticed. I mean, like that. I think you mentioned this last part where he's just taking too many threes. A lot of the threes he takes, like I see Cade just kind of like roll his eyes. I imagine, where it's just early in the shot clock. There's no real action, and he just pulls it after a screen. That's just a bad shot. And then, like you said, Connie, his layup has kind of not abandoned him, but a lot of times he kind of ends up like 8 to 10 feet away from the hoop, and he kind of throws up like oh I got hit kind of shot. It went in against the Hornets, but a lot of the times it doesn't go in, and that's where Jalen Duren gets a lot of his rebounds from. But yeah, that shot is just not good. Again, it's tough to really see. I think I don't know. I think it's like I wouldn't mind him not starting once a star comes back, and just have Fontecchio as the two. Like if he's struggling, he's just not. He doesn't add positive things in other parts of the game. So I hope he picks it up. I don't foresee him going to the bench this season, but as we start to wind down and try to see what's best for the team, if he's not improving, then I don't think his spot is guaranteed as that two guard next year.
Ooh, okay. So Zach Levine's taking this spot. I see. That's good to see. Any other notes on the team as a whole before we look to the week ahead?
Jalen Duren.
Yeah, let's spend some more time on JD. You're right. We glossed over him a little bit. Jalen Duren's been the
Yeah,
man's man.
the stuff he's doing at 20 years old. I mean, every opposing commentator is just in love with him. They can't stop talking about how like athletic, how strong he is, how you have to against I think it was the Raptors where he had like 8 dunks in like the first quarter, it felt like.
Yeah.
And the commentators were like, you have to get a body on that guy. And Kelly Olynyk just had no chance. This guy's just a beast, and I can't wait to see. Because his free throws are still dropping. He's a legit shooter from there. So I can't wait to see as well what he brings to the table next year. And just the actual, once he gets skill, once he understands how to play defense, I wouldn't be surprised if he's our like best player. Because man, this guy is already extremely hard to stop, and he has not very much skill or understanding. So I can't wait to watch him develop as a Piston.
You guys remember when he first came into the league and some people were like, oh, he's going to the G League. And then he started out with us and he couldn't like hit a free throw for his life. And we were like, oh man, this is like Ben Wallace 2.0. Like, how far have we come since then? Like, the guy's hitting like the absolutely rarest occasional elbow jumper, which will come. He's pretty much solid from the line from this point out, and he's still doing all the things that we thought he was going to do when he came into the league. Like, I think we said Bam Adebayo comp when he first got drafted. That's what we thought he could be. That's what I thought anyway. And it's amazing to see how far he's come in just such a short span amount of time. Connie, your thoughts on JD?
Yeah, really all you guys have said. His progression in those, like you said, like he started off, he couldn't hit a free throw. And he's just like, that was started last season. Like his progression in so many different areas, footwork, finishing around the rim. That was another reason we were like, hey, is this guy the next coming to Andre Drummond? He takes a lot of soft layups that he misses. Now he takes a lot of soft layups that he makes. He also there was a lob last night where I swear he had his chin over the rim. You guys know what I'm talking about. It was a lob from Cade where he was coming
Yeah.
up the baseline, and it is like I swear to God, he's touching the top of the backboard. Also, fun stat since I'm stats guy this episode. The Pistons have a net rating of negative 8.1, which means like for 100 possessions, the other team scores 8.1 more points. Jalen Duren is the only starter, or is the starter on the Pistons with a positive net rating, where his net rating is actually a positive 8. So it is a negative 8 on the season as a whole, and him on his own is a positive 8, which just that's pretty hard to do, to be like overwhelmingly positive on an overwhelmingly negative team. Some other guys that are doing is like Victor Wembanyama is doing that on the Spurs, where he's overwhelmingly positive on a negative team. Obviously, Duren is not Wembanyama, but he's become a legitimate bright spot. Like, and his defense is coming along, but offensively, I think he's already a top 8 center in the league offensively.
And how old is this guy, Connie, that you're talking about? This Duren kid?
20.
Oh, that
Might be 20
seems
years
young.
old.
That seems young. He's not even legally allowed to drink alcohol yet he's feasting on all these adult men.
Not even 20 and a half yet.
Not even 20 and a half. He's like 20 in like 117 days. The second youngest player to do something. I forget what the stat was, but the only person to do it before him was LeBron at 20 years old in 110 days. Valley, any thoughts on JD?
No, I mean you guys just about hit it home. I really don't have anything else to add.
All right. Any other notes on the team as a whole before we move into our look ahead?
I do.
Run it.
Not really the team. I'm assuming at this point we've all seen. I want to address it. The video of Troy Weaver getting into it with a fan.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
How are we feeling about our GM representing the Pistons like that? Like, how do you feel about that? Now we've seen the full story. I assume you guys saw it too. Like, there wasn't much more into it, really.
There wasn't much, but like, I read a little bit about it. We don't know what the fan said before the camera started rolling, right? Like all I read that James Edwards said was like the fan had provoked him a couple of times, and then the third time is when Troy finally fought back. Right? Like, I mean, and I can see like frustration building for Troy. Like, I'm sure this is not how he envisioned. I mean, he didn't come into this year like, yeah, we're gonna like go on like a 28, 29 game losing streak, and then we're only gonna have like 10 wins entering like February. It's great. This is how it's gonna go. So I can imagine that he's kind of frustrated, but at a certain level, like, you can't. I know he wants to embody the bad boys, but like,
You
that's for the
can't be
guys
doing
on the
that.
court, man. Like, not you.
Really? It made me like him more.
Do you?
Really.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. I can see that.
Just standing up to some jackass in the crowd and stuff. Like, just eat it? Nah.
Oh my goodness, it was
I
kind of
I've
funny.
I've I've just never seen a GM like stand up and like fight back with a fan. You know.
What about James Dolan? That's
Usually
an
also
under.
see fans. I usually don't see them sitting there, but I feel like you gotta see that one coming if you're sitting there with what might be one of the worst basketball teams of all freaking time in the history of basketball. You know, like you gotta expect some negativity coming your way. And with that, I just expected more professionalism with them because honestly, I think it's just a terrible way to rep the city, rep the team right there. Like I think that's pretty embarrassing.
Yeah, he kind of like fed into like what everybody says about Detroit, how we're all rude and we just don't care. Like, you know. But on the other hand, he's probably been facing this stuff all year long. You know,
Yeah,
like
we don't
every
know what the
home game.
guy said. You could have said some like some
Yeah,
stuff.
that's what I'm saying. Like, we don't know what he said before the camera started
Yeah, I
rolling.
understand that. That's true. But you
You
gotta
know.
think it wasn't something like if he said something like incredibly vulgar, I'm sure something would have happened on the first two times.
Uh, Yeah, I mean, there's a lot up in the air here, but I
I'm
mean,
also I'm always like I'm taking the opposite of the fans side. I'm taking the professional side. Uh,
where's you?
just some drunk asshole that's had three tall boys at the selling station.
Probably, yeah.
Fuck you, Troy.
Yeah,
You
no
suck,
question.
man. You should lose your job, man. It's like, what the hell?
I got fired yesterday, but you still have your job. Like, no.
Give me your job, man. No, I'm actually not gonna say a job. I don't want to upset anybody.
I acquired Steph Curry on 2K yesterday. I'm better than you at this. um, yeah, go ahead.
No, just not just more fake jobs.
Big
I
job.
could be a janitor at a school where all the kids poo themselves, but I could do a better job than you.
Oh man.
That just pisses me off, and I understand.
Yeah, I understand. Gabe, any thoughts on this altercation between Troy Weaver and this NBA 2K GM?
Did the guy get tossed? Do you know?
I
Think
believe
so.
so. Cade, not Cade. Troy was pointing him out, and was saying him. Yeah, he needs to be thrown out. So I'm assuming so.
Yeah, I guess I don't really care. Oftentimes Ben just do say some stupid stuff.
Yeah.
And if Troy was just mad, like you said, we've lost a lot of games. I'd be mad too if this were like the team I made
Yeah.
and these guys are just always talking.
Doesn't
Uh,
that backfire on him though? Like, damn, we lost 28 games in a row. We're in history as the worst team of all time because we've
No,
lost
we're not.
28 in a row. Well,
No,
nobody
we're in
else has
history
lost
with the
28 in a row in
longest
a
losing
season.
streak. The worst team, is the team with the worst record.
How many teams in an 82 game season? What's the lowest amount of wins ever
9.
in 82 games?
Yes.
All right, we beat out 9. We'll
We
hit
got
on
a couple,
13.
and the
What do you mean?
season's
We
not
well
over yet,
surpassed
man. This is
9.
gonna go down as like maybe the 10th worst team of all time.
All right, are we beating last season's record of 17?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah?
I think because I've had so many debates about this with Max. Dude, it's such a fascinating topic because it's like that's the bar, man. Like that's a real good bar.
Like,
I think we'll end up tying it.
that's
I think we'll
5
get
wins
17.
away. That's 5 complete
That's what I'm
wins.
saying. Like
A lot of
right
wins.
now, even right now,
It's a lot of wins.
if we didn't win a game for the rest of the season, they'd be the 8th worst team of all time.
All
Like
right.
this is
Hey,
gonna
that's
fade
top
into
10. That's good.
obscurity.
Jeez, my bad. We still
To
lost
get
28
out of
games
the
in a row.
top 10, we got to win 14 games. 14 gets us out of the top 10 worst records all time.
Okay, so out of our remaining games, the only real winnable games we got are probably DC, uh,
That's the big one.
Memphis, Memphis maybe, Atlanta maybe, and
Yeah, there's
and the Bulls. Okay, hold on, and the Spurs. So there's like 5 games here that we could potentially squeak out.
Could.
One.
The Nets, there's a Nets game. There's 2 Grizzlies games. Or are you talking about just this coming week?
No, I was talking about like for the rest of the season.
Yeah, 2 Grizzlies games, a Nets game, a 76ers game if they don't have Joel, a Spurs. Dude, it's not crazy. Wizards. Like,
6 actual.
and a lot of teams begin to, prepare for the playoffs, and that's when we really start to shine. Just ask Killian Hayes.
Man,
We
I
start
bet
to
we'll have
when you're
Stanley
gonna
Amude
take
at the 2
advantage
at that
of
point.
like coming down the stretch, we've got the Bulls. They're going to try to win to get in the play-in. The 76ers, they're going to be fighting for it. The Nets, they'll be done. Grizzlies will be done. Hawks will be done. Grizzlies will be done. Wizards will be done. I don't know. But
Hey, shout out Sadiq Bey real quick. Mention of the Hawks.
Yeah,
For his
man.
ACL. Shout out Sadiq.
oh,
Speedy,
really?
healthy recovery. Yeah.
Damn.
Contract year too. Prayers
Mm-hmm.
up for Sadiq.
Hey, maybe they'll just like not offer him something. Troy brings him back. What do we say? And then we'll have James Wiseman and Sadiq Bey on the same team.
Well, thanks.
Yeah,
You
right.
don't need him.
Get well soon, though, Sadiq.
Yeah, for real.
Okay, so final verdict. Who here thinks that we're gonna top 17 wins? I'm gonna say
17.
no.
All right,
I'm
that's
gonna say no.
I'll go yeah.
so there's 16 more games, which means you think we're gonna go 5-11 down the stretch.
That's like borderline 500 basketball for the Pistons.
For the Pistons. Playing 500 basketball for the Pistons is playing 30.3 basketball. All right. I'm gonna say no, probably not. But I don't think we're the top 10 worst. We're gonna get out of the top 10 worst.
I think
How
we'll
many
get
wins
right
is
on
top 10
17.
worst then?
We just need 2 more wins to get out of top 10 worst team of all time.
Whoop
Ooh.
whoop. Come on, fellas. Play with pride.
Say it with pride.
We got a lot on the line.
We do. Actually, speaking of looking ahead, let's look quickly. Let's narrow our sights a little bit. Let's look to the next week. We got Miami again. We got 2 against Boston, and we play Indiana. Are we picking up any of those 5 wins that we need this week?
0 for 4 this week.
I'm with that.
I think we get 1. I'm not sure against 2, but I think we'll get 1.
The Celtics I see is like impossible. They're
Unless they just decide to sit everybody because we are like the Pistons.
They locked in number 1 seed pretty much.
Yeah. So like they don't really have much to fight about. Like home court advantage.
Yeah.
Right?
But
But,
Stu
like,
Mikhailuk and O'Shea Brissett in the Celtic system will still cook us, you know.
and don't forget Luke Cornett with that 2-arm jump up vertical 3-point contest. They're nothing bad this year.
Sam's telling me 2 and 3 this week.
4
Who?
4 games? I thought it was 5 games.
I mean, it can be 5. I only did 4. I went Saturday to Saturday.
Okay. Never mind. Well, either way, I'm calling 2 wins.
Because we play New Orleans next Sunday, so like,
yeah, give me 2.
Give me 2. All right. Any other notes on this incredible team before we get out of here?
Hey, we're 3-2 since the last pod. That's the first time I think they've been 500 in the time that we've done like week predictions. And
I think you're right.
And I think that's something to celebrate. Like they got back-to-back wins, and like the Pistons, like I know it's like nothing, and it's the Hornets and the Raptors, but if like during that 28-game win streak, we were talking about like this team might never win a game again. Like,
yeah,
back-to-back wins like that. I know it's like not anything, but
and we've done back-to-back wins twice since then, which is even more crazy.
Yeah, it means something to me.
This means something, man. Any other notes on the squad before we get out of here? All right. Well, we're sending good vibes to Pistons. What's that?
I was just saying no, sir.
No, sir. All right, you're good. Well, sending good vibes to Pistons way. It's gonna be a rough week. We're still home for 3 of the 4 games this week, but fans are probably not going to be as happy as I was leaving the arena. But until next time, we finished above 500 for the first time in Buffs on podcast history. So throw the Buffs on, Detroit.